we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion
combustion.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado. This is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
Welcome into Discussion Combustion. We are brought to you, and we also heavily support Loco Plus, which is the platform that helps local creators. Check out Discussion Combustion on Loco Plus. They do video, audio. They got a big base out in Atlanta. Denver is growing. Absolutely great people. We love Megan over there. Niche and nice, Atlanta rapper. A lot of great content.
Yep, sure as hell is, Art. We're super stoked to be working with Loco Plus. They've expanded out to Denver, and we are happy to announce the showcase event, the first ever live Discussion Combustion podcast coming your way March 11th at the X Denver. Tickets will be on sale soon. As Art mentioned, Nisha and I say it twice, the Queen from Atlanta is going to be out here. We're going to have a lot of great support, a lot of great performing artists, comedians, what have you. It's just incredible. The details are coming together, so you want to stay tuned and check out Loco Plus. It is your home for local everything.
So great, and this one's been a long time in the making, man. We got our boy Israel across the table from us right now. Welcome in, man.
Hey, what's up, man? Thank y'all for having me.
Good to see you, brother, man. I think that deserves a cheers. This has been a long time coming, getting you on the program.
Cheers.
I know you announced on your social a couple months ago that you were coming on. We've been excited to have you come down, sit down for a visit, have some beers, kind of get to know you a little bit more, and maybe give your listeners and supporters a different side that they haven't seen before.
Yep.
So what brought you into writing music in the first place? Because I feel like normally it's one of those things where it's like, you're overcoming stuff in life and it's an outlet. I mean, that's what it was for me, at least. Like, what brought you into making music originally?
So what brought me into it was, honestly, like any other kid, was just scribbling in my journal and stuff, you know what I mean? Kids found my journal, a little bit embarrassed about it, oh man, don't steal that, to actually cultivating the style of writing where it's like, I realized the words that I say was influencing my friends around me. And also, too, not only that, I didn't graduate high school and stuff, but I would see myself through my music and writing, I'm using these big words, I'm using these analogies, these metaphors. And honestly, as I started to cultivate that as a writer, I'm like, okay, there's something there. I'm not as left behind as I thought. I actually can create something. Yeah.
And we've been listening to your music. We've been throwing a lot of likes your way and shit, as we all should as creators. We all need to support each other. And I know I mentioned this to you before we hit the record button, but we really like what you do because it is real content. You're not just, sure, you can talk about street life, whatever, but that's not a main focus of yours, it seems like. You're more focused on mental health, and you actually flew out to DC recently to go do some stuff like that?
Yeah, so I work with the Aspen Institute. I created a song about mental health. We interviewed young adults 16 to 24, and we asked them, what is well-being? What is taking care of yourself? And from there, collecting that data, we were just going to turn it into a survey and, data. And I kind of went a step ahead, and I was like, yo, why don't we take their real responses and turn it into a song? And also around the time was the first time I went to therapy myself. And that was big because coming where I come from, it's therapy's laughed about, or you don't really we don't do therapy, you know what I mean? So to be doing this project and also be doing therapy, I was yo, I need to create something out of this project that I'm doing. So I created the song Mental Health, which is on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. And the cool thing is Aspen really supported me with letting me do my creative freedom. They had no restraints on me. They let me run with it, let me choose the studio time, all that. And I was really excited about the project because I would say before that too, I had very heavy writer's block and stuff. So coming out of that freedom, even when I finished the song Mental Health, I literally was in tears by the end of it. And that's a good song when you're sitting there dropping a tear or two.
Oh my gosh. I mean, those are some of my favorite freestyles, is when I get one of those beats that you could tell it's an emotional beat, and then you just unload all the shit that's been bothering you for the last 2 weeks or something on that freestyle.
Yeah.
That's the power of music to me, because I've been into music since I was 11, and it was always hip hop. I love rock and roll too. Some of the I love all music, right? But I'm a rapper deep down is who I am. I just never completely focused on that to the level you are right now.
Okay.
So respect for you for doing that and actually putting it out there and working hard on it, because that's one of the toughest industries to crack, especially music genres to crack.
Yeah.
Right?
And well, kind of like how you're speaking on is like, I would say it took time of like maturity too, like how you said about my content. When I started, I probably killed 1,000 people and did this and was like saying that, and I'm like, bro, it's not making no sense. Like, what am I saying? And like you said, as I cultivated that writing style and sat down and took time to mature and really seen what I wanted to speak. And like I said, because these music has word and powers, and it really influenced. Like, I've had like OG homies and like CEOs like cry and be like, bro, like, you're really deep, like, you're really deep. And when you feel that, it's past like thinking it for yourself, like, oh, I'm cold. It's someone else telling you like, oh, this person really believes in me. Why won't I take it to the next level? And what else can I cultivate? Like, it's bigger than me. Even just seeing that I could create a song about mental health using the responses of our young people who are going through things out here in the community.
I think that's great, man. I mean, one thing we can all agree around in this table and relate upon is we all have musical backgrounds. So I came from playing the Ridge Runners before Discussion Combustion and did some songwriting, a little bit more country, rock, kind of cowpunk, as my bass player used to call it. But the fact remains is that it was still writing. And you touched on something that I kind of agree with, and that was when you write a song that, you get done, you're like, man, that was just kind of a garbled mess. And then you can compare it to a song that's like, man, it brings tears to your eyes almost because you really feel it. You can feel the emotion and the power that it's going to have when it's released.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of music and the soundtrack of life, and that ability to create, help, and people can tune in, whether it's to a podcast, music, whatever, and it changes somebody's day. There's something that's beautiful about that. I love it.
And I feel like that's like very forgotten a lot, because like how you said, it's like most people want to go straight to like the flashy, the street stuff was one, because it's easy, and it's two, it's all like controversy sells, but it's all like, what do you want to be known at? And also two, when all the smoke and mirrors are done and out and all that goes away, like, who are you at your core? And that's why like my artist name is real. Is like, I kept my real name and just threw a $sign on there. It's like, boom, I'm trying to make profit in this, but I'm also staying true to myself. I'm Israel. And stuff. And then later on I added the visionary, because I feel like a visionary is a person who could see into the future, and even when people are telling you not to do it, you make the decisions that you want and stuff.
Yeah.
The haters are the motivators sometimes. And just like Julia said a couple weeks ago, she goes, I don't do it for the lovers. I don't do it for the haters. I do it because I just can't not do it. And that resonated with me and still does to this day, because, I mean, Art can attest to this. I had to hold my beer mentality when we first started this. So many people were like, you guys are going to fail. Nobody's going to listen to it. You're way too optimistic. It's never going to happen.
We heard all that shit.
And it was like,
all
man,
the naysayers.
I'm like, you know what? Fuck you guys, because we're going to make it happen.
4 years later, man. 4 years later, man.
Yeah, and we ain't done. We're not done. We're just getting going. We're just like the airplane has left the ground. We're gaining altitude. And I think that's why, like you mentioned, the timing kind of lined up perfectly with you coming on the program, because it seems like you're on a similar trajectory.
Yeah, and because like I said, if we would have probably done this a year ago, Burley getting things figured out, Burley putting the project together. Now we're coming to a place, is like my producer just sent me my masters. I have 23 songs mastered, ready to go, ready to be released. Like, you know what I mean? And that's big for me, because I've never had like songs fully mastered and bumping it in the car, hearing it like that. So just having that, and also coming from like how many years, I've been doing music since I was 13 and stuff. So finally seeing that trajectory and like hearing it back and seeing my growth, I'm like, oh, I'm ready to drop. It's
super exciting, man. I mean, 23 tracks. Look, I mean, probably one of the last album I dropped was like 16 tracks, and I mastered it. And look, it wasn't like
genuine article.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of quality, but it was better than my first shit. Okay. But that 16 tracks took me like a year, maybe a little bit longer than a year of like working on constantly, to the point where I've listened to this song and played with the levels so much that I can't even tell anymore. Like, I get sick of it. Like, you get sick of your own music, right?
You kind of do,
because you heard it back so many fucking times. How long did it take to get those 23 tracks together, would you say?
So it took me about a year. Maybe a year and a half, because the first song I released in 2021 was called Drunk and Confused, and that's kind of what kicked everything off, was me seeing this and being like, oh, okay, I want to create an album. And from there I created this concept, because the album's a concept album. It's called Love Junkie, and it's pretty much being like, oh, you're either gonna fall in love or be addicted to drugs. Because think about it, most people when they get out of a relationship, what's the first thing you hear? Hey, I want to drink tonight, buddy. Like, hey, what's up? Let's get messed up.
That's true.
And it's all like, I was in a phase of my life where I was like, nah, I'm going to take that same love and I'm going to like make music my addiction. Music is my drug. Like, that's my choice. Like, if y'all going to choose anything, I choose music over anything. And everybody knows, like, I don't even go out no more. I don't do nothing. Like, if you do catch me, you could catch me in the studio. We might get a drink there. Like, and that's why I was like, love junkie. And so, and Drunk Confused was the perfect example. Y'all, that's on YouTube. Y'all could go see that video too. And you'll really get to see the storyline starting to build to now as I created the 23 songs. Each song from the first one to the last one, I make sure they curated and like flow perfectly and stuff. Like, as I mentioned, Biggie was one of my favorite, and I like how he had skits, interludes. There was a meaning.
Yeah, they don't really do skits anymore, right?
They don't.
You're doing skits on this.
I'm doing skits on this.
Okay, hell yeah.
Bringing back the old school flow.
I have some real voicemail phone calls, you know what I mean?
Fuck yeah.
And stuff. Like, actually in Drunk and Confused, what's crazy is at the end of it, they call me and I'm like, oh, hold on, I'm on the phone. And then it sounds perfect. And the producer's like, we're keeping that. We're keeping that. Like, and I didn't fake the funk. Like, they actually called me at the end of like finishing that song.
Nice. No, it's funny how that stuff works, and like, why is that like a '90s thing? Like, how come we haven't heard that
like
much?
'90s, early 2000s.
How come we
skits?
haven't heard that so much in the recent albums, like skits and shit?
People don't have the patience.
I would agree. And things became too overproduced and too much focus on perfection, I feel like. And I think that's also kind of the lost art, what we do here, of like real stuff, having real conversations. Everything's so buttoned up today now with social media and the reels, and everything has to be perfect. The skits add that touch of relatability. Right, like, this is real shit, and that's awesome, especially when it happens organically. Like, you're getting a phone call while you're in the studio.
Yeah,
that flavor people will pick up and like, this isn't scripted. You know, you can feel the difference.
You
can. And there's actually one song on there too where it's like a real raw voicemail. And when I hear, actually the last song, Lost in Time, is one of my favorite songs on the record, because one, I feel like my lyrical content on there, I'm very mature, very going in and stuff, but also two, I put a clip at the end, and it's like, oh, Israel, I'm done. And it's like the last song on the album, and then you could hear her driving away, and then the song fading off. But so Lost in Time is an acronym I created, LIT. So that's the name of the song is LIT, but when you break it down, Lost in Time. And because sometimes, like, even like going back to the love junkie concept, is when you in all that, you're getting lit, you always tell yourself, like, you're going to do better, you're going to do this, but, like, you're wasting so much time when you could have just been working on yourself instead of blaming all these other outside entities to build yourself up.
Yeah. No,
I know you got a lot to say about that, Art.
No, I mean that's just a lot of layers of deep, you know? That's, like, all below surface layer, right? And so, yeah, I guess I do have some things to say, Kevin.
I could feel a raw rant coming. It was building.
So first of all, talking about, like, you know, having more meaningful lyrics, that's beyond the surface level. That's past the easy facade, because everyone likes that drama, like you mentioned, right? So I agree with that. And then also to, like, have this concept of a title for an entire album, and then you really start picking it apart, like, what makes it that's what's so fun about creating music, is it's so free, right? Like, you can go so many ways with it and speak on so many different areas and like areas of life and mentalities. And it's like, everyone's struggling. Everyone's trying to overcome something, right? Like, everyone has a demon that's knocking at the door, that's creeping into your dreams at night and shit, and fucking making your dreams like you wake up like fucking A. And so everyone deals with some of that shit. And the more real that you could be about it while recording and like intentional, the issue, and I love that, and the issue with that, though, is that it creates this barrier of listenership. And because I was always a deep lyricist as well, right? And it's harder for people to, like, they want to listen to that surface level shit, but that music doesn't mean anything. So it's like, as an artist, like, you almost have to walk this tightrope of either, you know, keeping it so stupid simple, or like really diving into some deep material, or doing that both in one song. Like, maybe your bridges are stupid, and then the chorus is semi intellectual, and then the verses are real deep. Like, I don't know. There's so many ways to run it as an artist. So it's just fun. Like I always get the muse and like I kind of get like a little green with envy because we talk to a lot of artists on here, and I used to be heavy in that. And I'm always like, fuck, man, that sounds like so much fun. Like, so do you make beats too? Like, what's your involvement on the instrumentals?
So the beats, I contract them out. I'm honestly not the guy who's going to sit there and be tapping on the thing because, like I said, I take so much time on the writing side of it. I'm a writer. I'm a performer, you know? So I'd rather contract someone out than, you know what I mean, spend my time mastery. I mastered lyrics, so you know what I mean. I'm not gonna focus on the beats, and I have a couple producers that I'll be rocking with in the city, or also too. We're in the era where YouTube, you could just buy a beat off YouTube, go ahead, purchase it, and if you really like it, you know what I mean, do all the right paperwork and upload it and stuff.
So do you usually, I'm assuming then that you build or write the track around the instrumental, or do you kind of have like lyrics in mind and then you find an instrumental that might fit those?
So what I did with Love Junkie, that's why I'm saying it was a concept album, was I literally wrote in my notes Love Junkie, and then from there, originally it was only 6 songs, so from 6 songs it turned to 23. Damn. And I wrote The World Is a Bedroom, that's the first song on the project, and I literally just wrote that and freestyled it. And that's the first time I ever really wrote like that, because I'm a person who, I like to sit on my phone, write the lyrics, you know what I mean, hear the beat like you're saying, and then put it out. But for this one, I completely switched my style, and it was all raw energy. Like, I knocked out, I had a 4-hour session, and I knocked out all 6 songs in 4 hours.
Damn.
No, that's heavy.
That's getting after it.
Yeah. When
you're in the zone like that, man, it's interesting because like music is one of those things that you can't force it. It has to hit you at that time, and I'm like waiting for my muse to come back, right? Because right now I'm living in my own place for the first time in my life. I've been there for like 3 months, and I've been loving it. And I know that I have some empty time to fill, and I feel like eventually that I'm gonna fill it in with genuine article again. Article. That's my stage name is Article. So Arthur, and then my last name is Raw, and so maybe I just go by my name, and then Article is an alias of Arthur Raw. I guess that would be the truth anyway.
That's up to you, man.
But that's the thing. See, I'm like talking about music is getting my brain. I'm like,
he's like, let me step away from the podcast.
Oh my god, I have so many ideas.
Getting the juices rolling.
Yeah, but it's like one of those things you can't force music. So are you ever on a deadline where you have to create a song? And then you're like kind of hitting that writer's block.
Well, so what's crazy, as creating the project, the mental health one, I got contracted by Aspen to do that, and I had to do that in like 2 months, turn it in. At the same time, still working on a project and stuff, which was gonna release as a single. So it's like I did kind of feel the pressure of like, oh snap, I'm working on the album, but I also have to talk about mental health, which is a whole different than what my project is. Because like you said, it's like, not all the songs on that album are all super lyrical. There's some songs where I'm just having fun with it and just like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like I'm like a middle child, like J. Cole said. Like, I'm in the 90s, but also I grew up in the era of like that lit future, like, you know what I mean? I've seen both sides and stuff, so I've been able to balance it. But it more depends on, like, I don't know. I don't feel like I've had writer's block in the longest time. Maybe because I'm so hungry still. Yeah. Like, someone in D.C. just told me when I showed them one of my songs, like, your third eye's glowing. I could see you're glowing. And I was like, and then my buddy was like, oh, yeah, look at this. It was a freestyle from 2017 that he had of me. And she's like, whoa, you have the same energy there. And it's like, because I feel like I haven't reached the pinnacle of success where I want. Yeah. I probably won't get writer block until I'm comfortable. But even then, if I'm comfortable, I'm probably going to find a reason to get more addicted to the music in another way. Because like I said, I have genuine like love and joy for creating. Like, my happiest moments is when I'm in the studio.
Can relate to that. Some of my happiest moments are sitting right in this chair, drinking a beer, having a great chat. I mean, we do it because we love it, of course, at the end of the day. And there's no greater feeling, you know, when you're in that zone and you're in the studio, you're like, man, I feel good. I want to keep focused on this. Is what I would build on. Like you said, it's like it's the addiction that is worth being addicted to. The creativity, that bug.
It's like a positive addiction almost, like, because it's like, and that's like I said, what Love Junkie was, where it's like I was either gonna fall back to my same cycles and keep like half-assing it, or I was gonna go 100% and be like, nah, bro, like, I'm gonna zone in and I'm gonna do this. And even like that day when I went to the studio, like I said, I recorded those 6 songs, and that was like the way I wrote each song. Was I just wrote the title of the song and then went from there. Only Lost in Time was the only one that I actually already had pre-written for a different beat. Okay. But I ended up making the beat in the studio and I was like, oh, that flows, and then freestyled the chorus. But everything else on those first 6 original songs was literally the skeleton for what this project was going to become.
I mean, that's super exciting, man. I've always wanted to make an album where it was like a story that was intentional, you know, because I've never done that. Sure, I've found the right order for songs I've already written that were all like current, but they all had something, not everything to do with each other. So that would be a fun project. Like, even if it's just a 10 tracker, just something simple, like that's just like, all right, you know, like this is the process. It's like a story.
Yeah.
And that way people could really like, I don't know, man.
So what are you saying, like kind of writing like an audiobook into like an album?
Yeah, like it's like called, like, it's a story, like you could call it life, and then like make an acronym, LIFE, like living in fascination every day or something like that. You know, just come up with something and then like make an album off of that, like how, you know, and kind of like recap being a kid or something in the beginning, and then you move up into the hard times, adolescence, have like a hard track where it's like, man, fucking shit ain't working, I'm making the wrong decisions, and then like you have a whole song where it's like a progression of life and like going through it, right? Like I just, that's what's, I mean, look, we're music centric on this episode, and all these ideas are just flowing through my head, and I'm happy that you're hungry. Like I'm feeding off your tenacity with this shit. I feel like is why I'm like I feel like that's what's going on right now.
That's what it takes, though, man.
Yeah.
And well, that's crazy that you say that. That's kind of what like the Love Junkie motivation was, where it's like happened to pass away one day. What is a body of work? When you hear Israel from beginning to end, you gonna know my story. And I feel like that's what I did with Love Junkie. The first song, like I said, is The World is a Bedroom. It's like, the world is a bedroom, she lays in my bed. Like super singy, super like, oh. And the quote in the beginning, it says, the greatest trick the devil ever played was telling us that he didn't exist. And I was like, I thought that was a perfect intro for the album. Because it's like sometimes we fall into these entities and energies where we're fooling ourselves that we're doing good, especially when you're doing bad. Those are the most people that are like, oh, everything's fine, and really everything's crumbling around you. And like I said, that's why it took me going to therapy, me took doing these cool projects, me actually going to the studio more. Because there was days like growing up where I would cry, be like, I wish I could do music. You're not doing music just because you're not doing music. You say you want to do it, go do it. Quit like going to a party, quit going to a show. I love going to show. We have a bunch of shows here, but I'm tired of seeing all these people performing at Red Rocks. I want to be the one that performing at Red Rocks, because I have performed at Red Rocks, actually. That was my biggest show that I've done, and I feel like I'm chasing that high again, because to see, it was for the Black Panther screening. I did a sold-out show through this organization called Youth on Record. They plugged me in, and dude, it was like to the top people, and I've probably never seen that much people in my life as an artist. I would say I'm privileged in that sense.
Yeah.
And from that feeling, like I feel like I want that. Like I want that times 10, but also I want to be able to go up there, because I only did like 2 dope little verses and stuff off of their like a feature track. I could only imagine if I was up there doing my whole project.
Yeah, headlining.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though, man. That you got to experience the energy of looking at one of the greatest venues in the world. Packed.
From the stage.
From the stage.
That's fucking awesome.
That's I mean, most musicians and artists dream of that for sure. So that now you got a taste for blood, like you said. You're like, I want it all.
I wrote my name right next to Jimmy, because in the back they have all the artists. Yeah, I wrote my name right there next to Jimmy. I was like, oh yeah, what's up, man? That's my favorite artist and stuff.
Yeah, I mean that wall has to be like,
it's epic,
jam packed.
It was. I was barely even able to. I'm like, I hope I'm not covering this person. I'm all tiny and fitting in it.
Yeah.
Backstage Red Rocks, you could really feel the energy walking through there.
You've been backstage.
Yeah,
there, right?
I hung out with Dirk Bentley there in 2012, and just walking those halls, and you know, kind of like switchbacks down all the way, and you see all the artists that have played there, and the signatures that you mentioned. You can really feel the energy, just like we did when we were at Mission. You know, backstage, kind of looking at some of that stuff. You really appreciate. You know, the performers and the people and the energy that have been in these venues. It's great. And Colorado has some amazing venues.
Amazing. And that's where, like, coming to it is, like, we really don't have no artist that the city's championing. And, man, if the city's willing to take a chance on your boy, you know what I mean? I'm really trying to do this, and I'm giving them my all. this last year too was the first time where I've just only been surviving off my art and my music, and you know what I mean, just going 100% artist. And I would say, like you said, it's one of the hardest industries to get in because tomorrow's not
clicky.
Promised.
The hip hop industry is clicky.
Super clicky.
You know, that I mean, because I dabbled heavily in it, right?
Yeah.
I won't get too much into those details. Everybody knows what I mean by that. But what I really mean to say is you mentioned, you know, champion of the city, local hip hop, Denver. Let's put it on the map. Well, you're on Denver's podcast right now, and you know who the first person was to say that this was Denver's podcast? Was the two of us.
Okay.
We were like, we're Denver's podcast.
Coined the phrase, yeah.
And no one was saying otherwise, right? So we said that shit straight for a fucking year. Okay. And then now people are like, yeah, that's Denver's podcast. It's because no one else was claiming that title. And so if like maybe just claim the title, bro.
Just snatch it up.
You know, maybe just be like, yo,
There for the taking.
I'm Denver's champion rapper. Like I'm Denver's champion storyteller. Because you could be a rapper, you could be all these other things. Like, what are you really? And then claim
entertainer,
that.
right?
Yeah.
What would you consider, like entertainer, motivator? Because you're talking about mental health, you're helping people.
I would say human figuring it out, like, you know what I mean? Because honestly, like you're right. Like one day I might be boom doing a music thing. Next thing I'm sitting in a meeting, but then like the other day I'm chilling with my boys in the hood. Like you know what I mean? I wear multiple hats. I'm not just one person. I'm very multicultural, very diverse. Like I do a lot of things out here in the city.
So yeah, I think that's going to go a long way too. Any entrepreneur, anybody trying to make it in anything, whether it's podcasting, music, comedy, you know, movies, you have to stay versatile and be able to move around and do different things, right? Because if you get too one-track mind, you're going to get down that one-track mind, right? And then everything is this, and you're missing out on opportunities over here. So it's good to be, you know, kind of, hey, I'll go to this, that, the other, shake some hands, take some pictures, get in a community, and that's great that you're doing that, and that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see the magazine article that's going to come out from what you did out in D.C., man. That's great.
I know, yeah, I'm excited about that. That one's still like to be announced on the date released at, but on February 17th, I'm gonna be on also another magazine called City Roots and stuff. So I'm excited for that one to drop, and also February 17th, my listening party and the project should be coming out.
Is there any room left in that?
This is a big month.
Because this is dropping on the 16th. So if anyone's tuning in Denver, can they still get in, or is this thing packed?
Oh no, there's still we still got some room. We can squeeze in a couple of y'all up in here.
Hit them with the details on this.
So the details will be at a private penthouse. You could DM me at Israel the Visionary on Instagram to lock in your information. Tickets are $40 for males, $20 for females. And if you come as a couple, because we, you know what I mean, we in the Valentine's vibe, we're going to hit you with $50 for the couples. And it's cool. We got a professional blunt roller. Blunted is the name of the organization. She's going to be twisting up for us all night. We locked in a couple other sponsors with Tito's, so we're going to have some Tito's there.
Hell yeah.
So for all my Tito's drinkers, we're locking in a sponsorship with my buddy Smoking with Nino. So hopefully there. And then for the media, Studio 85 is going to be recording, taking pictures of the whole night. And it's going to be at Cloud Space Studio. I'm not going to give y'all guys the address because, like I said, it's a private event. So y'all going to have to contact me directly. We just ain't letting anyone through the door. We're being very intentional of our listeners and the people that we have in. Because also, too, like I said, 23 songs is a lot.
It is.
Like, you know.
So you're performing all 23?
Half. I'm going to perform some of them. Also, most of it. I just want people to listen because, like I said, from the first song to the last song, like 1 month, I literally spent just curating. Like, you know what I mean? So the album might have been already ready for the last 6 months, but the other part of it was like, okay, now I have all these 23 songs. This one goes with this one. This one fits behind this one. Let me hear the ends and beginnings of it. Boom, boom. And that's how I floated, because when you listen to it, I want to take you through this roller coaster. And like I said, the last song is called Lost in Time, and then it slows down. So it's like this high. Then you start to come down, and then it closes out. And because, like, after I do this probably might be my last chapter of the Lung Junkie series. Yeah. Until, you know what I mean? Maybe I'll tap in with it in the future. Maybe I won't. I just felt something heavy in my heart that I wanted to, like, touch on these subjects and put this out. Because my next project after this, I'm thinking of a 4-track project. And I'm going to team up once again with Aspen and really focus in on mental health and start to talk about issues all about belonging, what's well-being, and getting very lyrical with it. So from coming from a big, long, fun project to like, oh, now we getting serious, it's like, you know what I mean? I'm going to show my diversity in it and everything.
That's going to be an awesome event.
Yeah.
That's
it
just
is.
going to be badass.
Yeah, it is. That's what, Friday night you said?
Friday
So
night.
this drops Thursday, so tomorrow night. Man, if I had some availability, I'd love to squeeze
Man,
in.
I would have loved to have you guys there. But I know y'all be doing the pod and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And may slide through after. Because it's going to be from 5 till midnight. We couldn't DJ at 10. So we probably going to run it till like 2.
Okay.
So it's a full night. It's a full night event.
Yeah.
Uber's recommended.
Uber's recommended. We do have spot for parking. But Ubers are obviously recommended because, you know what I mean? Like I said, we're going to have the Tito's and anything could go crazy. And actually, too, I have this company that's going to have infused marijuana in there. So, you know what I mean? We're going to want to, people that want to dabble a little bit.
Really get on that level.
Yeah, get on that level.
I remember when I was a kid, when I was a teenager and shit, like when we first started drinking, I was the type that like had a loose stomach, and I guess what I mean by that is like I would get anxious about partying that night, and like I wanted to smoke weed, I wanted to drink with everybody, but I would get super nervous about it.
To do partying?
Yeah, so I would like throw up.
Really?
Like, I would throw up before
the party, before any
yeah,
substances went in the
before
system?
He ain't even.
before the shit would happen, or I'd like take one shot and I'd be like, all right, I'll be back, and I'd have to go throw up. But then after that, I'd be good for the rest of the night, and I overcame that. But it's just talking about being twisted and shit. Like
I've known you 14 years, never heard that story.
Yeah, it brings me back.
Serious.
No, yeah, I used to throw up all the time at parties because I'd be so nervous to party. I'd be like oh shit, it's about to go down. We all about to get down on this shit that I'd start throwing up. Like this would go down all the time. So like if I was late teens, Arthur, and attending this event, you guarantee that I would hit the porcelain at least once in that manner before I really got down and had some of that infused shit.
It was crazy. That's kind of me with like podcasts and stuff. Like even coming here, I was like all nervous, or even just before like shows and stuff. I get that same feeling and stuff where it's like, I didn't even drink anything yet. Why am I feeling like this? But it's like, you're right. Once you like it's like
gotta get it out.
Get it out.
I just gotta get it out.
It's true. And it affects everyone differently, you know. Like performing music for sure. I remember taking the stage for the first time. I was like, fuck. You know, doing whiskey shots, you know, had the shakes a little bit, and I was playing my guitar like missing strings. And then once you get through that first song and you hit that rhythm, you're like, okay, I'm in. You know, you get the first song jitters gone or whatever the case is that you're performing on. It starts to take the full effect.
Yeah.
And the tight thing when you mess up and you on stage, you the master of your own craft. So it's like, you know what I mean? They're already there to see you as long as you're able to bounce back from it. You know what I mean? You don't stop midway. You know what I mean? You keep it going.
That's the biggest thing I feel like is not bringing attention to whatever happens, right? It's like because so many people make a fuck up and like, oh, you know, and then they bring attention to it.
I fucked up. Is it okay? I fucked up. Is it okay?
I mean, we fuck up every goddamn week on this show, and we just keep moving.
Keep moving, baby.
And then people don't really pick up on it. It's like, okay, everything's cool.
I mean, same with freestyling. I think that's what really taught me that the best is, especially because you're like, you practice freestyling, right? But like you want to spit some flows and to hear people feel that shit and see them feel that shit. And so like when you're in like an environment and you're like getting down on it, and then for some reason you made up a fucking stupid word that doesn't exist, and
like my dumb ass when I first stepped into the ring with you. If anyone hasn't seen that, go to Patreon and watch the freestyle files.
Definitely check out Patreon.
Oh man,
definitely check out Patreon. But yeah, it's like that's what taught me to like, and same with football. If you fumble the ball, you pick it back up and you keep running.
Yep.
And no one's gonna notice you fumbling. All they're gonna notice is that you kept running. And so that's great advice. So that's a challenge for this week. Actually, I'd like to challenge everybody out there to be honest with yourselves. And you know, none of us are perfect, and we can't all have a perfect track record out there. I've fucked up a couple times this week already, and I'll just be honest about that. But I didn't stop. I kept going, and so that's a challenge for this week. When you notice that you mess up, if you know that you made a mistake, you know, don't let that derail you. Just keep coasting, keep going. It's okay to mess up. Just keep going after you mess up.
KIM, keep it moving for sure.
Yeah, KIM, baby.
Keep it moving.
So one of the things that I like to ask artists specifically is there something that stands out to you, like there was a breakthrough moment or a huge challenge that you overcame, or just like a wall that you hit and you're like, man, this is where I have to keep going? Or you know, anything that stands out?
I feel like, for me personally, it probably happened a few times, but the one that put the cherry on top was my brother passing away.
R.I.P.
And me looking back on like everything he taught me, and then also too finding like letters that he wrote me from like high school and stuff, and him telling me like, you could do this, you're gonna be the first one to put on for the city, and like that was even before like I even believed in myself type stuff. And he was always the one telling me like, Israel, you got the gift of gab, like you gonna be the dopest artist. So, and he was the person I looked up to because he was the first one who out of my group that went to college. So here's like, I'm looking up to you and you're looking up to me, like there's something there, like, you know. And he would always tell me like, Israel, you're an artist. And I don't know, once, like, I've always knew I was and I always pursued it, but like I said, once he passed away, it really put the fire in me to be like, I need to do this for myself. I need to do this for him and my whole community.
And this
like,
was your older brother?
Oh yeah, this is my brother. He's my friend, but it's a brother and stuff. Yeah, but
he was older.
He was older, yeah.
Okay.
Just a year older.
Yeah,
but
that's
very,
not too much.
very, very wise and stuff. Like he was like the first. Like I said, when he was going to college, I was like couch surfing, of figuring out where I'm gonna do in my life, living from spot to spot. And he's over here telling me like, just stay on your music, just stay on your music. Matter of fact, our plan was like he was going to manage me and we were going to move to New York. And because, you know, in the East Coast, there's way more opportunity than there is over here in Colorado and stuff. But obviously things didn't happen the way that it happened. And yeah, I just always like, I have him tatted right here on my arm, and I feel like I can't, like, he used to run track, and when I run these raps, that's me running the track field. Like, man, I'm going to give it 100%, and you're going to hear every side of me. Because, like I said, one minute I could be singing, next minute I could be rapping and stuff. But I would say that's the breakthrough moment that really put the cherry on top of me. And, like, all right, there's people believing in me. I need to believe in myself. There's no more, like, maybes. There's no room for maybes.
Yeah.
It's go time.
You know?
Go all the way. Go all the way. There's no greater feeling than that, right?
Yeah.
And it helps to have those kind of motivating things like, okay, this is for my boy. You know, I told him I wouldn't let him down. I'm not going to let him down. I'm going all the way. I'm fucking committed.
All in.
Yeah. The brotherhood.
I mean, shit. Like, when you recognize that type of stuff, like that kind of meaningful ass shit where it's like, this is bigger than me. Like, I have the ability to make an impact that's bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And when you submit to that, and I'm all about dominating life, but sometimes you have to submit to certain things. And when you submit to the fact that you have the power to make a major influence in life, it can be daunting, you know, because people will look up to you, and like, I mean, through this podcast, and you know, I've and both of us, Kevin, you and I both have had a beautiful opportunity to motivate people. Same with all the guests that we've had. And I know your conversation is motivating the people too. But when we get that kind of feedback where it's like, okay, this conversation, I needed to hear that today. Like this helped me out. Like I needed that.
Brings me to tears every time.
Yeah, it's crucial. And it makes us hold ourselves accountable. And holding ourselves accountable is difficult. Like everyone wants to make excuses. Everyone does make excuses, myself included. Yep, but I make a lot less excuses today than I made 2 years ago, you know? Growth. And so that's fine if we make excuses, but yeah, dude, to carry that weight and recognize it and be like, you know, even though my boy is no longer with the world, he's still with me mentally, right? Yeah. And his thoughts and actions while he was here still carries weight, you know? And like for that to move you and like be a motivation, like I'm getting a little like that right now, dog, because it really does. It means it, you know, like that's the truth. And like when it's bigger than you, like you better bet on yourself to fucking make it, right? Because people are depending on you to show up, show out, and be honest and accountable for your own shit. You're responsible for your shit, and you're not blaming nobody for your problems. You're handling your shit. You know, that's man shit. That's woman shit. Like, that's you're owning it shit. Yeah. And we do have a hashtag here, own it. And that's part of life. You gotta own it. You gotta own it, man.
Yeah. And anybody can own it at any moment. Anyone can own it at any moment, for sure. And to piggyback off that, I think it helps to have a brotherhood, a support group. Family and friends make you the richest man. It's something I've said for a long time because I truly believe in that. And like you said earlier, whether it's blood or not, I have a tattoo on my arm. I've showed it many times, beyond blood, because everyone's my brother, my sister, whoever. We're beyond blood. You know, if you're good and you want to support me, I'll support you, kind of thing. That mentality is what we're lacking here in 23. I feel like, you know, a lot of you know, we talk about this a lot with social media and some of the wedges that are getting driven in between personal experiences, like what we're doing right now. You know, sitting down, looking people in the eyes, talking about what's important, talking about their passions, their missions, their drives, whatever. This is what we need to be focusing on. We need to be supporting each other throughout the way, not judging each other, supporting each other, you know?
And it's like, yeah, like we just need to lift each other more up and stuff. And because like honestly too, like that same, what's crazy is my brother's birthday is on January 1st, mine is February 2nd. So it's like 1, 2, I'm next up. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like he put that crown on my head. And like I always, like, it's weird, I always, even outside of podcasts, like I always like have hour-long conversations with people like at the airport, but because I genuinely like you said, I like to acknowledge people and let them know like, oh, what you going through. Like I'm very empath and stuff, like I'm able to vibe with like, you know, anybody and stuff, but because I want to see people win. And also too, like I said, like one thing that is promised is death. Like, you know, we're all gonna go, and at least me personally, when I do go, like I want to have like a long track record of like people that I left on a good note. I don't want people being like, that guy right there, he sucked. Like I want people to be like, nah, he was actually a good guy. Even at his worst times, he still figured it out. He still was a good spirit. And like you said, building that community. And sometimes you might not know who your community is, because I know I don't have the same friends that I started with, but also the new people that I am starting to build around. And like they're all doing cool things, interesting stuff. And that's the type of people I want to be surrounded with. And even if I do happen to have some depressed people, I'm not going to like put them down about it. If anything, I'm going to try to like show them as much love and spirit, because they probably need it, because they don't love themselves, honestly. Because I've definitely been there where I didn't love myself, and there was nothing you could tell me is like, nah, bro, everything sucks, I don't care. Like, you know, being to a point where it's like, nah, everything's good. Like, we blessed. Like, tomorrow's gonna be a better day. Like, I might be on my last $5, but I'm gonna make it look good.
It's all about the mindset.
For real.
It really is. I mean, when you get out of bed each day, you go, is this going to be a good day? Damn right it's going to be a good day. Even if I do only have $5 in my name, I don't know where I'm sleeping tonight, we're going to make the best of it, right? And to your point, yeah, I think it goes a long way to, you know, if maybe some people in the group are struggling a little bit, to show them some love and say, hey, man, I got you. You got this. You know, build them up a little bit. You know, everyone is equal in my eyes, and everybody has an equal voice, and should be recognized and heard throughout. You know, nobody's better than anybody, no matter what you've accomplished, and anybody's capable of owning it at any moment. You can go out there tomorrow and own it. Follow your dreams, follow your passions, right? I mean, it's all the cliche statements, but I truly believe that, because I've seen it. I've seen it happen day in and day out, and that's what's so exciting about the potential of humanity.
It is exciting. And to speak on kind of some of the subjects that we're talking about, like, yeah, it's important to motivate people, but at some point, people gotta like get their shit together by themselves. It's good. It's good to encourage people, but like, I'll listen to you talk about things a couple times. Do you want me to listen, or do you want my advice? You know, and depending how that conversation goes, and then at some point, like I'm just going to lead by action, and I'm going to help motivate by doing it, right? Because we've all walked a hard road. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a shit ton of money growing up and you're privileged, quote unquote. Like, you still had a hard road. You came from nothing, and you had to come up to get something. You still had a hard, like, every single, like, life tries to kill us since we're born, right? Like, it's trying to kill us since the jump. And so, like, we should all, like, try to find something to be thankful for. And, like, I know we talk about this a lot on this show, is, like, you know, what are you thankful for? And to keep that present in your mind. It's easy to get lost in the negative, right? And to like get sucked into it. And sometimes a little bit of negative can be healthy, right? Because like without self-doubt or, you know, having some sort of friction in life, then, I mean, if you're just coasting all the time, then, and that's just the normal,
clouds,
then like what are you living for? So like you have to have the contrast in life. And that's why when I'm having a bad day, like I actually try to be aware of like, oh shit, I'm having a bad day. I'm getting tested for a reason right now. I'm thankful for these challenges, right? Like, so I try to like look at it like that. And I mean, look, not everyone has a big peer group, okay? And so there's a lot of people that walk really alone, like really solo compared to how I walk. Like I'm fortunate for my friends and my family. Everyone's there for me. And some people don't have either of those. And so I what you're talking about is extremely important as far as, you know, you're in the airport and you might run across, you know, Mr. Smith or something or whatever, and you're chilling there talking to this person, and like they might open up a little bit and start telling you some of the woes, some of the trials and tribulations of life, and just to have you sitting there listening to them for that 45 minutes or whatever it is that you're waiting in the terminal, like that might be an impactful conversation that was normal to you, like you're used to interacting with people in this way, but for that specific person that didn't have any friends, they didn't have any family, and like you were there to listen to them in a genuine way, like that might actually affect them for months to come and make them, you know, more willing to accept new friends in their life, maybe take the risk of trusting somebody to let them in, and you know, so you never know what your action is going to produce. Yeah. And so it's really important to stay selfless. I mean, you got to be protected. Society, there's a lot of weirdos out there, of course, you know, no doubt, but show love where you can, and really try to like hold that respect down. I love that you're doing that out there, and I'm sure the impact, people have felt it.
And well, like, as I said, and I feel like I've walked multiple paths, like you said. Like, I've been in positions where it's like, oh, like, I'm broke, I have nothing. I'm growing up in the project, Section 8 home, mama, papa arguing, shit, struggling. But also, too, I was blessed enough, or like, the moment that changed is I went to jail, then I got an internship for the city, started working for the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce. So I was blessed to sit around CEOs, different entrepreneurs. I've been to Aspen. Like, I never thought I'd go to Aspen in my life, DC, Chicago, like, just traveling and getting out there for my community. It really opened my mind, and it showed me, like, yeah, I might have had this rough path. I might have, like, wanted to, like, because there was times where I wanted to delete myself as a child. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think tomorrow was going to happen. So when you come out of that and you really start to find strength, you want to, like, give that. Like, I feel like it's my need to give to others, because, like, you're right. Some person, like, might have not have talked to someone to the airport, or might have not have been having, like, the best of day and stuff. Because I know, like, I've had, like, I like to say angels in my life, where it's like, it was crazy. Even though in my dark times, I've always had, like, crazy conversations with people that you would, like, take that in, and you're like, oh, tomorrow got to change. Or, like, I need to do this different just from this impact. I guess I'm thinking about this one moment specifically where I was having a bad day, super kicked out, was homeless at the time. I was sitting at the park twisting up, and this dude walks up to me. He's like, hey, how you doing? And everything in me wanted to tell him, like, get out of here. Like, you know, I wanted to fight him. And then, like, for some reason, I was like, nah, man, I ain't having a good day. And then he's all like, hey, what's wrong? Can I sit with you? I was like, sure. And then he's like, I got a weed. And then we started twisting up. Come to find out, I talked to him a little bit. He's super motivating. He's suit and tie, right? Yo, tell me why when our conversation's done, he's all like, I'm homeless. I'm like, what? You look? And he's like, yeah, I look cleaned up because that's what I present myself as. He's like, you would never know I'm homeless. But he's all like, I don't know what you're going through, but I'll pray for you, brother. And I just remember him telling me that. I was like, dang, bro, like, it is going to be okay. Like, why I'm over here making this big deal? Like, I'm only complaining about something small. Bro's over here, like, homeless with his whole family, looking like $1 million. Like, bro was suiting and booted for a homeless guy, I'm telling you. So that motivated me, and I was all like, that's an angel. That has to be God or something higher, because I remember after he left, like, the thing I didn't want to do, I went to go do it, and it ended up being great. And that's where, like I said, it opened up me going back into school, then going back and getting my internship, which turned into a whole thing. And I'm like, wow, off of that one conversation, when I thought at that moment I didn't want to do that decision, but it made me, pushed me to go do it.
Wow. That's pretty intense.
It's a great story.
That's the moment where you're like, man, I gotta keep my foot on the gas.
You gotta keep my foot on the gas.
There ain't no time to fuck around. It's time to full send.
Yeah, like I said, these angels out here, man, because sometimes, like, you could talk to someone and, like, you could be having the most messed up day, but they'll say something or something will resonate, and it's like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I feel like even the people in the most depressed state, like, could find a way out of it. Because, like, I know for me personally, like, if y'all would have interviewed me a few years ago, you probably would not have been able to interview me. Like, there was no talking to me, and, like, the only way I got out of it, like I said, was one, opening up to people. It was only years later, more recently, is where I'm doing the therapy and tried that. But when I first was walking into things, I relied on the energy of meeting people. Before I had therapy, I would interact with real life people.
So you're totally an extrovert. Yeah. Like you feed off of being around other folks.
Yeah.
I mean, I like my alone time too a little bit, but like I like to be around people for the most part. Like that's what I'm all about.
Hey, because loneliness, man, when you're alone for too long, sometimes you get in your head, and then, like, especially, like I said, when you growing up in the hood, you're like, oh, that person's trying to do me dirty. I don't trust that person. Oh, he's plotting on me. You just getting in your head. Ain't no, bro, that's your brother right there, bro. Or that's just another person trying to live. Why you got to think like that? Like, you know? And sometimes you need to close all that noise out and put yourself back outside. Go back out there. And like you say, even if you got $5 to your name, who knows? Your brother might help you out. Like, you know what? I got 5. Let's make it 10, bro. Like, you know?
Yeah, you don't know until you know. And like you said, until you step back out of there. You know, because paranoia, I mean, that's an easy thing to set in a little bit. Like, oh, this is fucked up. Everyone's against me. The world's against me. The dice are loaded, all this shit. That's just a mindset, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, when when our feet hit the floor out of bed, it's like, it's my time to decide how this day goes, not anybody else's.
So I'm gonna give a quick reminder to the listeners, and maybe first time you've heard this, but how the mind works and the subconscious mind works is negativity is like a cyclone, right? Like it's like a vortex in water, right? Like let's picture water in the vortex and it's just swirling, sucking everything down. And that vortex is forever present. And so that is your subconscious, and within the bottom of that vortex is negativity. And we all naturally start to think negatively about life and or people and or jobs or circumstances or traffic, whatever it may be, relationship, whatever. Like there's this natural current that flows toward negativity. And that's why I like to say that the easiest thing to do on the planet is complain. Like people complain all the fucking time and they're not accomplishing shit.
Yeah.
They're just complaining. They're not doing anything. And so, you know, we got to swim, and we got to swim hard. Like let's say you're completely in the bottom of the vortex and the negative, and you are just complaining about everything. You're not doing shit in life, right? Like, and that sucks for you. But guess what? You could start swimming real hard. You could climb up that vortex and start getting out of it. And that's the thing is, like, as you are swimming away from this vortex through cognitive, like being cognitive of your thought process, because you have to think about what you think about in order to change what you think about naturally. So it's like this whole process. But like with the vortex, the harder that you swim and like the more that you stay focused on it, well, you get further and further away from the vortex. And guess what? Like the water is easier. The water doesn't pull you in. Is the current isn't as strong. The further away from that you get, the vortex is always going to exist and suck us into this negative thought process. But if you keep paddling and you paddled for 5 years, then you're like you're on the perimeter of this vortex, and like you can kind of like stroke a little bit, you know, and like swim relaxed. You know, but like you still got to swim away from the negative. Like it's always going to be present. It's always going to draw us in. And so it's a challenge, life is, because as you continue to succeed and you start hitting, like, you know, like I'm sure that you've accomplished a lot of goals that, I mean, you mentioned some of them on the show already that like are big accomplishments for you. Yep. And it's like, it's easy to get complacent, right? Like with Kevin and I, like with the podcast, like we've hit a lot of milestones. Yeah. It could be easy to get complacent, like, oh, I made it. Like I'm going to stop paddling. But you have to keep swimming. Like you have to keep finding a way to keep swimming hard, because it's going to pull us in. And I feel like that's just important to reiterate, because everyone out there is dealing with this negative current into the vortex, and you have to like find a way to keep swimming. And this is something that we do until we die, okay? Like we paddle and swim until death, and like that's the only way that you're going to live a fulfilling life too, is if you battle the current your whole life. Like you can't ever stop swimming. Like you can never become complacent. And that's what makes people intimidated, and it's made me intimidated, like extremely. Like fuck, you're saying I have to fucking stay tenacious and strong and like go until I die. Like I have to fight until death. And unfortunately, like that's what it seems like. Like we all have to fight the daily fight every single fucking day until we die. And like, I don't know, man, that's something I like to reiterate. I think about it every day. I don't talk about it every day, but I'm always thinking about that shit.
It just makes me think, like I said, I'm an avid, I watch your guys' show and stuff. Makes me think about, you guys were talking one time about what's next. Like, you got to consistently be thinking about what's next. And I feel like that helps with that. When you know what is next, you're not thinking about going back in the vortex and sucking yourself in, because you're starting to plan. And like, even now, like, yeah, my project's coming out. I was already telling you guys about my next one. Like, you know what I mean? I'm always like trying to stay consistent and stuff, because like for sure there was days where like that vortex, when it does suck you in and stuff, it gets you and stuff. And I know, because like I like, you know what I mean, there's a reason I advocate for mental health. Is like I've been through it. I'm a kid who, you know, I'm a survivor of it, you know. I'm like, you also hear a lot of stories like people who passes away from suicide and stuff. And like I've had a couple buddies who do that, and even when like you think about it, it's like you want to judge them, but then you think about times where you get super dark and you're like, damn, I understand. Like that easily could have been me, like, and stuff. So it's like knowing that, it's like you do need to find a way to like keep swimming forward, keep pushing people forward, and consistently plotting. I want to champion what you guys said is like what's next, because when you know what's next, you're not gonna like you almost don't have time to sit around and complain. Like you can't complain when you busy and stuff. Like I know I had this today, I wasn't gonna complain about who cares, laundry ain't done.
I got some more
like,
shit to do.
I got more shit to do.
Yeah, the work's never over, and I think that people get confused with that a little bit. Like, hey, I found my niche. I'm here. I'm done. Whether that's marriage, the career you wanted, the house that you wanted to buy, the sports car, it's not over though. No. Like that's great that you accomplished all that, right? And you know, to quote Richard Reed a couple weeks ago when he was on our program, he's like, "Man, you have to have the hard times to appreciate the good times, because if it's all good all the time, what is it? What are you really learning? You know, you haven't seen both sides, negative, positive, so to speak, and it's hard for the mind to dictate what's what. And I think it's important to go through those hard times as well. I mean, we're all dealt different hands in life, of course. And some fortunate, some less fortunate, but at the end of the day, everyone's dealing with something. And I love that you touch on mental health. I mean, I struggle with anger issues most of my life. I was in anger management for most of my 20s, still deal with it from time to time. And it's important to focus on that, because we're in the driver's seat here. We're not a manager of our life. We're a creator of it.
Yeah. And we're the only ones who could honestly, because like I guess people always ask me like, oh, how'd you change your life, or how'd you get to a place where you feel so motivated? And it's all like, I did it for myself. Like, no offense to anybody who has helped me along my journey, but there was no one who was going to push me harder than I was going to push myself. Because at the end of the day, when, like I said, like when you're bullshitting and everything comes, smoke and mirrors are gone, and you really start to ask yourself, like, do you want to keep lying to yourself like Love Junkie? Do you want to keep being a junkie? Or you want to find love? Do you want to find peace? Do you want to find love around yourself? And that's kind of like the motivation behind it is I want to find love. I want to have a family. I want to have kids. I want to travel more. I want to take my career to the next level. I want to do podcasts. I want to do multiple things. But I know the only way I'm going to do that is by making sure Israel's okay and keeping myself out of situations, because I feel like, same too, I also have anger issues. Like I'm the first, I'm the hothead always out there like, what? Well, let's go, let's fight. Like, he disrespected you, homie. I got you too. Like, and sometimes like, you don't have to fight every battle, or like, you know what I mean? You might have to come at it from a different lens, or you know what I mean? Conversation could go a long way. Like, and I was in San Francisco this last year. I remember this dude was telling me about my dog. He's all like, hey, don't put your dog on the leash. And I was down bad, man. I was on my last $5, sitting there angry, and I was like ready to fight him. I was like, what you say? And for some reason, I just like decided to be like, why? Like, why shouldn't I put him on his leash? And we had this whole conversation about like, you let your dog off your leash, you put your trust in your dog, he'll have trust in you. And for no lie, that day I let my dog off his leash, and we were at this big park. We walked around the whole park. I walked with that dude. Dude, my dog stayed right next to me. I've never seen that before. And not only that, too, I get to talking to the dude. He's a music producer.
There you go.
He does beats. We ended up doing it, and his birthday was the next day. He invited me to his home studio the next day.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I was like, wow, I could have easily got mad, fought with him, and argued. But because I decided to center myself and see what he was dishing out, boom, boom, we created a dope song called Mad Max, and he put me on his project that came out this last year and stuff. So it's like I created a friend and a connection, and now like even in Denver, I'll be walking with my dog off his leash because I have trust in him like that. Like, you know what I mean? You just gotta have faith and like calm it down a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, be a true leader. I mean, look, whenever you do what your intuition says, you're going to get good results. A lot of times the intuition tells us to do things that we don't want to fucking do.
Yeah.
But you got to listen to that. You really do, man, and act on it immediately. Great conversation. I love everything that we're opening up here. I know you listened to a couple, so you probably know we always like to ask a question closer to the end of the episode, and that is, if you could give one piece of advice so everybody could be better off tomorrow, what would that piece of advice be?
It would be love yourself and love others, because I feel like if you love yourself and you love others, there's no room for hating and there's no room for like destroying yourself. When you at peace with yourself, like you don't need to like worry about anyone else's stuff. Because my favorite quote is, "A man went hungry watching another man eat." What I look like over here worried about like, oh, his music's better, his podcast better. Like, why do I need to compete with anybody? Like, we could all coexist and build up. And especially at that, if I know I'm a master at my craft and loving myself and that person's at peace, yo, we only gonna lift up from there.
It's great advice. It's great advice. It takes everybody. It really does. And we have to unite, support each other, whether that's, musicianship, podcasting, what have you. I think the big message is coming together, and we came together tonight for sure. And I know you got some stuff to promote. We'll let you plug everything you want. Let's get the camera on him. He's got some stuff to show us. What you got, brother?
So we got the Love Junkie hoodies.
Hold it up a little bit higher. Yeah, there you go.
Right there, we got
a little bit more. There it is.
Hey, what's up? We got the Love Junkie hoodies with the Love Junkie in the front. We got the cover art in the back. That's the official cover art. Oh, that's fly.
That looks good.
And like you can see the pain, the love, the trauma and stuff. That's what the cover art's going to be too. It's
I like
be
that.
Available on my Instagram soon. Going to be selling the hoodies. Might give some away at this Friday's event and stuff. So if you make it, you're going to know. And so if you have one, that means you came to the party and stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit. Dog, I might have to fucking roll through on this thing. Like, I don't really have anything planned tomorrow night. This sounds like it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good time, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Well, good advice for humanity, though.
Very good advice.
I have to keep up on that because, first of all, you love yourself. It's okay to be a little selfish in life. We need to be selfish to be selfless. If we're not taking care of ourselves and we don't take care of our base needs, like, producing, making music, writing lyrics makes you happy. Like, it hits you in the core. I could tell. Like you need to do that in order to feel fulfilled. Like, it's part of like your calling to yourself. If you stopped making music tomorrow for somebody else, like, that would fuck with you, and in the long run you would be unhappy. So you have to, in life, really truly find what your calling is. And look, that's a journey all within itself. Like, what is your purpose of being on this planet? Like, until you find what your purpose is and have that self-love to sacrifice whatever you need to in order to obtain that purpose, that's tough. But that self-love piece is super important. And then once you have self-love and you can, start dishing it out, then it's really important to give back. It's really important to give back to the society in any way that you can. Like, any way you can. Like, I like to throw dap to people all the time, or like give them genuine compliments. Like, if I see someone wearing something that I like their kicks or their pants. Like, I don't care if you're a chick or a dude, whatever. Like, I'm not trying to hit on you, and that my energy comes off genuine. Like, I'll straight up tell people, I'm like, yo, those are fly sweatpants, or like, I really like your kicks, or like, your haircut's dope today. Like, strangers. But it's only because I mean it, and it's only because I worked on myself and had to have those bad days where I developed self-love. So I completely agree with your advice to humanity. Self-love, and then once you're overflowing your bucket in self-love, then you can distribute that bucket out,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well, it's kind of like, so as you guys can see, I got the heartbreak right here and stuff, and it's like, my little sister asked me, yo, why you got the broken heart? Like, I was like, cause my mindset might be broken, but my heart's healed. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, just sometimes it's a mindset. It's like, yeah, you fixing that though. Like, I ain't broken anymore. I'm going into a path where it's like 2023, we taking off like Jordan. Like, you know what I mean? 23 songs. Like, who does that anymore? What intros and skits and stuff? Like, I'm excited for the project to come out and people to hear this, because like, it's gonna be a refresher of this. Like, not all the songs on the album are just like all sad, or like, you know what I mean? There's some songs on there where it's like, ooh, he having a good time with it. He getting in his jig with it. He's in his bag.
You got to have some flavor in the pot, Come on.
Yeah, that's a good album. I mean, most people call 9 tracks an album now. 23, I mean, that you could almost call that 2 EPs and a record right there.
Yeah, back in the 90s, that would be a double discer.
And I was thinking of splitting it in two, But like I said, when I heard the beginning of the end and the curation and how like the first song and the feeling of it, and even just like there's a song on there, Moment in Time, then later it's Heartbreak Hotel. Like just feeling like how each, and it's surprising because I got a couple features on there and stuff. I teamed up with some people in the city because like I said, it started off with 6, but I decided to expand it and bring in those other people in and like allowing people join my craft and the vulnerability of working with others. I literally seen myself grow as an artist, because even the songs where I have a feature on it, there's songs on there where I only have 4 or 8 verses on there, but those are some of my most lyrical content, because sometimes less is more.
Oh, most times.
Could be better said.
Most times.
Sometimes less is more. Yeah.
Usually the go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, no, okay, fine. I my pleasure. Fucking no, but a lot of times, like people have these difficult questions and shit, and like they're making it all fucking complicated, and then you really look at it and you're like, holy shit, the answer was actually really simple, and it was such a complicated situation that you thought it needed a complicated answer. But no, really, like, it was a super simple fucking answer that completely diverted all this complication. So it's true. Keep it simple. Let's keep it stupid, and let's keep it moving.
K-I-M it.
Yeah, let's K-I-M, keep it moving, baby. And where I know you mentioned it earlier when we were dropping, how to DM you for the event Friday. Where can everybody find you one more time?
So you can find me at Israel the Visionary, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You could also find, if you guys are into the short content, you can find me at Israel Clips on YouTube. And then if you want to look up my music, you could just find me under Israel and stuff, just because the distribution, for some reason, they allow me to add the Visionary. Working on that. But as of right now, you can just look up Israel with a $, Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud. You'll find all my music and stuff, all capital everything. And you can find me at an event. You can find me out in the community. you can find Uber, bus, whatever. I might be driving. Like, y'all see me out here in the city, man. Israel.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And we're obviously going to include all those links in the show notes down below. So scroll down to get in touch with Israel, tap into his music, doing amazing things. He's in the wheelhouse now. We're in his wheelhouse. You're going to be back on the show here in the near future. We're moving studios here in a few weeks, so it'll probably be in the new studio. We'll talk about that a little bit off mic. But the fact remains, thanks for spending some time with us, brother. This was a lot of fun.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys for having me. I love being on Discussion Combustion, you know what I mean? Like I said, from watching y'all to actually, like, you guys generally have a good vibe and stuff, like, and y'all flow dope with each other, so I'm glad y'all allowing me to come with the triangle, man, and we will kill this.
Of course.
Hell yeah, brother. Cheers to that. Thanks
Cheers.
again, man, for your time.
Cheers. Shout out to Bud Light.
Hell yeah. Shout out Bud Light. Thanks for the...
Yeah. Thank you, Bud Light, for providing the beer for our future episodes. And you know that we're always going to rep that. And to all the listeners out there,
You, of course, got to be good to yourselves. We'll see you on Happy Friday tomorrow. Be good.
you deserve it.